I'm here with Tess Jacobs. She is an educator at Great Falls Public Schools and also an artist. And this interview is part of our ArtConnects exhibition this summer, an exhibition in partnership between Great Falls Public Schools and C.M. Russell Museum faculty. And I'm really excited to have Tess here with me today. So Tess, if you can start out by introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about the work you do as an educator and the work that you do as an artist.
I'm Tess Jacobs. I teach at C.M. Russell High School. I teach AP Art for 2 periods of the day. I teach photography, painting, and then the foundations class. I've been at C.M. Russell for 15 years, and it's a constantly challenging job that I really enjoy.
And how about your work as an artist? What type of art do you focus on in your practice?
My fine art degree is in painting, and I chose that media because I found it most challenging. Other medias seem to be a little easier for me, but painting was really challenging, so that's why I chose that media. However, I consider myself an experimental artist. There's been years where I've only worked with clay, and recently mixed media is a media I'm most attracted to.
I've seen your etchings and your drawings are very beautiful. You're a very talented draftswoman.
When I first went to college in Boulder, Colorado, my professor told me, your drawing skills are going to get in the way of your being a really good artist. And I didn't understand that for years. But I can see with my students, some of them become so reliant on their drafting or drawing skills that they don't embrace color or other elements and principles that are really important. And so for 20 years, past 20 years, I finally understood what he was talking about. So I've been pushing myself to not become, not be so reliant on those drafting skills.
What inspires or influences the art that you make?
Social events. Right now there's just a plethora of social information that we can translate into art media. My life experiences, I find that my work really, whether I am aware of it or not when I make it, it's always influenced by what's happening to me currently.
So what can you tell me about your creative process when you go to start a piece of artwork, and how do you go from start to finish? Or what is your conceptual process like? So there might be, for example, if you're inspired by social events, and right now we do have quite the grab bag to choose from, but how do you go from, starting with that feeling of inspiration or that notion that something is affecting you and then translate that into art?
That's a very complex question. Sometimes I'm inspired by the media I have around me.
Mm-hmm.
So something will really speak to me, and I decide that I'm going to translate that into a narrative that's personal.
Mm-hmm.
So recently I took a little class, and it was in Max Ernst format that involved making rubbings out of textured surfaces or designing plates, small plates, and then combining them.
Mm-hmm.
And so that really spoke to me, and I proceeded to make quite a few of those rubbings that I find really gratifying. It's kind of like a very playful media, but also I'm thrilled with the outcome.
Does being an educator influence you as an artist or vice versa?
Being an educator does influence me, very much so. My students don't really like it when I say this, and I mean it in a very loving way. Sometimes I'll tell them that they've become my media, and as an artist, I try to get the best I can out of whatever media I'm using.
Mm-hmm.
And so I push them as I would my media to get the best outcome. And it is really inspiring to me. Their ideas are inspiring. Sometimes the way they they work, their process can be really inspiring to me. And so yes, being an educator and being an artist, I think is a really nice fit for me personally.
What is one piece of advice you would give to young people or aspiring artists?
Not be discouraged about the market for art. Sometimes my students are really passionate about art, but they're afraid. They have no courage to go into an art field. I think sometimes, especially in this remote area we live in, it's hard for them to see how many different areas in the arts they could work in. In high school, I didn't know the choices you had as an artist. I mean, it appeared then that you could be an educator, which at that time wasn't attractive to me. You could be a freelance artist. You could get really graphic art. Wasn't that there was no push for students to do that. So I really didn't know what I wanted to do as an artist, but I knew being an artist was really important to me. But I had no idea how to pursue a career.
I think the younger the better for kids to know these days, young people to know that they can do it.
And it's important for their parents to know that whatever their student is pursuing is something that they won't be a starving artist.
As you know, the reason we're doing this exhibition online is because of COVID-19. And during the planning process, when we typically would be gathering art and hanging it in the gallery, we had no idea when we'd be able to open the museum. The museum was closed to the public at that time. So we decided to do it virtually. One thing that's I've noticed in doing this exhibition is, and even just working through COVID, is that everything is done like this, through video conversation or through FaceTime or Zoom. And it's interesting because you get to see into people's lives. And when you were usually used to seeing someone in the classroom or in the office, all of a sudden you're in the middle of each other's living room and you have, family in the background and life in the background, and you're trying to uphold your responsibilities. And so I'm just wondering if how the COVID-19 pandemic has affected you as an educator and or as an artist, and how you have to operate within those fields.
I have to tell you, it's been really enlightening to me to realize that as a visual instructor, that I have an advantage over a lot of those other content areas in education, because we do have this visual tool, the Zoom tool, and students can easily share their work with me. And I'm surprised at how easy it is to transition into virtual classroom. I also learn so much more about my students. It's crazy to to say that, but we have little snippets of conversations via the internet that we would never have in the classroom because we're too busy physically working.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a nice element to this online teaching.
How do you see arts as being vital to our society, and perhaps especially now? And why do you think art is important to make?
It's a language that I think everybody understands. I think right now, the one thing that's really obvious is that we need art. In a world right now where everything is so chaotic and unpredictable, I think art is the language that gives us a reprieve from all the other stuff. It also is so important to expressing how we feel about current events and the current situation. The Facebook, Instagram, we're bombarded with both the good aspect of life right now and also the reality of the situation. So yeah, I think more than ever right now, art's really important. It's that language that's really important. I'm having my students do an expressive conceptual piece right now on COVID, and it's really interesting. the insight, how it's changing their life.
Do you have anything, any other things that we didn't talk about today that you would like to include or mention or talk about?
Um, I do want to mention that I feel great gratitude for living in a community where we have a museum of the caliber of the Russell, and working with the educators in our community. This has been a great opportunity to showcase um, faculty's work. Sometimes we forget that our primary goal is to be creative and to teach creativity.
I appreciate you doing this interview, and it's been a fantastic opportunity for the museum to really talk to all of the art educators one-on-one and hear about the artwork that you do and the education that you do as part of your daily life and working with the students. It's been really fascinating and inspiring. I appreciate you having this interview with us and being a part of the show because it's great to share that with our community.
Thank you, Eileen.
You're welcome. Thank you.